But no, it was Catalyst Mastermind in Cancun, or was that one in Cancun? It was in Mexico. That's actually one of the ones I did with Tyler, and we stayed up super late just talking Facebook ads one night and about all sorts of other things too. But I paid $10K so I could sit in the seats and be a part of the mastermind, even though I was actually also getting paid to be there. Pretty crazy.
Was it even the gate, or?
Oh, no.
You got paid way more to be there?
No. At that, I wasn't getting paid nearly what. Since you've known me, my value and my experience has greatly increased, right? Like, I've been on the road now with Todd for over 5 years. At that point, I had been working with him for like a year. Like, barely any cred, any experience, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I wasn't really getting paid much. So no, it was not an even trade. That was definitely me coming out of pocket with affiliate money, because I was still making really good affiliate money. I was Affiliate Institute back then, which is when I was one of the founding members, and it's how I paid the 10 grand. Because that was a package that if you joined and paid the 10K, that you became a founding member, got access to all the curriculum and you actually got access to the very first like traveling mastermind, which was Mexico.
And for us will be Thailand.
Well, Todd said he's in yesterday on the call.
Yeah.
You know, that's the man who has, like, I understand how to produce an event. I understand how to provide value. I understand how to structure it. Like, coordinating an event in another country or another state, like, that's the man. He's been doing it for over 20 years. So it's really, and it's cool too to have Greg Kawamoto on the team, or at least, you know, looking to be a part of what we do, and because of also having over 20 years of experience. So that's cool.
He's got over 20 years also.
He doesn't look it because he ages really well, but he's actually...
It's because he's Asian.
Quite up there, yeah. I mean, what do they say? It's black don't crack and Asian don't... Man, I don't even remember how the saying goes. It's everything so... You can't say that right now, so I don't remember how that goes.
Asian ain't aging.
It's something along those lines, but I don't remember the exact... What's the arrow? There it is. Exact phrase. But anyway, let's see if we have the ability to pull up what we need.
It's back up.
Yeah. It is. All right. It's rolling. Oh, I don't like that my computer blocks some of the Stormtrooper. I guess it's only the corner, and you can really see him still anyway. I'm gonna move my drink out of the way. All right. What's up, you guys? Chris Celeste here with my faithful partner in service, as always. What's up, dude?
What's up? Liam Weisner.
There you go. Is that your name?
Yeah. Say your name.
So congratulations, you finally found it.
Say my name.
This is the G-Spot. And so we're going to talk about some awesome topics that we like to geek out about, and really dive into some depth, some golden nuggets, and some wisdom, really around personal growth and development, which is something that I've been heavily steeped in now for many years, and really just talk about life, entertainment, and where we pull a lot of our inspiration from. And so super excited to kick off a different show structure.
Shro.
I did say shro. Listen, man, sometimes my brain moves faster than my mouth, especially with a little bit of energy drink in it. So
You just had your first sip.
dude, did you see me sluggish when I walked in this morning?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So it just adds to it. I don't know too. I don't think it has anything to do with my TBI, but I do notice that there are times where I slur my words without any alcohol consumption, like with completely sober, just slurring my words. So I'm interested to know if there's a correlation between, you know, the brain damage, and I don't know why I had this in my pocket, but I'm gonna put it over here.
When I was like spent most of my time in the bed, my back pain and everything like that, I did not speak to people or have like normal conversations very much. So when I did go to speak to people and have normal conversations, my words would come out all out of order because I wasn't used to speaking anymore. Most of my communication was done through text and online and memes.
Yeah.
During that time period. So I spent so long not really speaking that my words kind of got messed up. It was like I lost the ability to speak for a while.
Yeah. I've definitely had it where the words are not coming out in the right order. And that kind of sucks. It's like, oh shit, can't communicate right now. However, I do find there's like a lot of things that I've done here in like the last couple of years that certainly have helped a lot with that. Getting more serious about like nootropics and being able to like really balance my memory and heal my mind a little.
You on it?
I am on it today. I took the Total Human daily this morning, which is probably why I'm like, wee.
Yeah, that explains a lot. I took that, those 3 times, and I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. No, they kick. A lot of it is like supplements for like gut health and like different mushrooms and stuff like that. But the alpha brain that they put in there is what kicks. And so I was actually listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. He's obviously one of the owners of that company, big component on it, promotes it all the time on his show. But they have alpha brain black now, which is like a
Stronger version?
Yeah, like a different formula, I guess. And he says that like before, basically he takes it every day, but before like every podcast, he pops like 3 before like every UFC fight that he commentates or anything that he's doing. He's like constantly popping them because he says it actually opens up like the flow of the brain, and he finds that like that jumbling of words where like things come out miscommunicated or I slurred mine. When he does the alpha brain at such a high level, it's just like he doesn't deal with that at all. It's like the communication is so much more clear. Pretty crazy.
It is. I've noticed that his stuff are full of all the supplements that you can take by themselves. They're just creating the proprietary stack.
Yeah.
That's all. It's like a recipe of the good stuff that you could use anyway or just take supplements of. That's what I experimented with for quite some time. That's why I've got numerous vitamins.
Numerous. So let's kick this thing off. Well, again, welcome to the G-Spot, guys. We're going to start off a new structure. In these shows, it's going to be a little bit more segmented, a little bit more structured, and we're going to start off the show with a question, a mind bender, or a riddle. And we're going to ask that you guys, while watching the show, comment below what you think the answer is. And if you guys get it, next week on the show, we'll go through the comments, we'll see who got it right, and next week on the show, we'll pull a live winner, we'll call you out, and maybe even send you a cool prize. So we'll see what happens with that.
Sounds good. All right. So today, riddle of the day, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?
Interesting. So if you guys know, again, drop it in the comments, and we'll pull all the correct answers, and we'll tally it out, and on the next show, we will call it the winner. Give you guys some congratulations, let you know you got it right, and maybe even send you a cool prize.
I honestly don't even think I know the answer to this riddle at the moment.
Yeah.
I haven't even given it a thought, to be honest.
Okay. Well, it definitely symbolizes what today's message is all about. And for that is uncovering profound truths in sometimes undiscovered places. And like I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of times Liam and I, we pull it from entertainment. We are big, TV entertainment nerds, very, big into books. We probably spend as much time studying that stuff as we do our occupation, our careers, and the things that make us money. And so what a better way to really marry the two than to talk about where we pulled this wisdom from and the different, I wrote a post for our company for Facebook the other day that was about my recently watching Ted Lasso. So it's like, it makes sense that these things come from there. So let's talk a little bit about that, and let's dive into what's happening current right now, what's actually happening in the world, and how that really mirrors society itself, like in entertainment, what's happening in the world of entertainment, what's happening in the world of AI growth, what's happening out there in current events, and how it's related back.
Well, I'm excited about The Boys Season 4.
Hands down. If you guys, let me know in the comments, do you guys watch The Boys? I know it's not for everybody. It's definitely acquired taste. But I absolutely love the show. I think they do a great job of satiring certain political things that are happening right now, much like South Park does very well, but also really humanizing what would a superhero be like if maybe they were a little mentally unstable, or they were a little, violent, or, didn't have all the characteristics of a Superman, right? So I think that's a really cool show. And what are you most excited about season 4?
Well, I do want to see, what's it? Butcher? Butcher, yeah, Butcher. I want to see Butcher with his powers, and whether he is going to fall victim to what all the other soups have gone down the bad hole, right? Too much power kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah. No, and spoiler alert, guys, just real quick, because what we're about to talk about will drop things that may happen in a later season. So if you're just getting started, spoiler alert, letting you know right now.
Too late. Too late.
Well, we'll add it earlier. No, but I'm really excited too. Here we have this season, we're really starting to see Ryan, who is like one of the only naturally born superhuman people that we know of in the series, is actually coming of age, finding his powers, learning more about him, but maybe going a little Brightburn, getting a little bit dark Superman because of his father, and now really kind of idolizing him.
Well, that goes to a whole bunch of different psychological things, like kids idolize their parents, and until you reach a certain age, you don't even realize that your parents are flawed.
Human beings are,
yeah, but you don't realize that when you're a kid. You just know them, and they're your structure for how the world is viewed, because that's your norm.
100%. And then you get old enough to realize, and everything shifts.
Yep. I remember how crushing it was to realize my father did not know everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a world changer when you realize that the characteristics that you looked up to or even embodied yourself because of the role model that you had didn't actually have those characteristics. They just kind of displayed them as a show, when people were around. That was always an interesting one. They say don't meet your heroes, right? And then you're basically born into your first hero experience. It's hero's experience.
Speaking of heroes, Anthony Starr.
Oh yeah.
I like him, and he plays a very good bad guy. But my first introduction to him was in a series called Banshee, which was a whole lot of fun. Essentially, he's this career criminal who just gets out of prison, wants to find the love of his life that he went to prison for, and so he finds her with a whole new family because she's hiding from her mafioso type father, who is like a Russian or Chechen or some kind of crime lord, but Eastern European, right? And so when he comes to find her hiding out in this small town in Pennsylvania, lots of Amish and stuff like that there, the local crime boss there is someone who left the Amish faith but still practices most of it. He picks and chooses what he wants with it, but he embodies a lot of the work ethic and stuff like that from the Amish faith. But Anthony Starr rolls into town looking for his love, and he stumbles into a bar, just having the first real good meal after getting out.
Yeah.
And there's this guy there who is going to be the local sheriff. He hasn't met anyone yet. The bartender or bar owner is kind of like an old criminal type dude that was mostly reformed, still a good person, just circumstances and bad choices type thing. But he owns this bar. He was a prize fighter. and all that. And these two members of that Amish gang end up doing something kind of sketchy, and the new sheriff coming into town to take over the position stands up for himself and others, right? And ends up getting killed in the process.
Oh.
Before anyone else starts to meet this sheriff. And Anthony Starr kind of comes across and is just like, screw it, I'm going to take over the sheriff position. And pretends to be him.
Okay.
Meanwhile, throughout the whole series, he's doing like noble things, almost like Robin Hood type stuff, but still getting rich while pretending to be the sheriff because he's doing all this crime stuff.
Yeah.
But he sticks up for the little guy at every opportunity. Like, he's doing good for the community and the people of the community. It's just people of power, people who can kind of afford to lose a little bit. He goes ahead and kind of thieves a little. But his morals are very just majority of the time. And he's very strong in his convictions, and that's where I first saw him. And it is a great freaking series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've never watched it.
You gotta.
I've just finished Reacher, which is also a great series. And then Monarch, which was great. I thought they did a great job with that one.
I'll be finishing those two probably tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. Babs is coming back. Barbara.
Yes.
Well, right on. Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with season 4. They're adding 2-3 more soups, new superheroes on the bad side. The boys themselves have basically assembled as a team. They have their soups and their abilities, and now they're going to go head to head. So we'll see, because now, the underlying premise of season 4 is the soups actually they're in the government now. Like, they're actually getting a spot inside of the government. Which, if you're familiar with the comic books, like how that goes down?
I am not.
Oh, okay. So, spoiler alert, it's following a little bit of what the comic does, because the Supes do take over the White House. However, Homelander, basically goes crazy and takes over the world, and then gets killed very shortly after that by his clone. But that's a whole different thing. It's definitely not going to happen in the series, because the person who's his clone technically just got killed last season. So, not going to happen.
No.
Yeah.
Way to ruin it.
Spoiler alert.
After the fact.
You just did that earlier. And here's the thing. The series, unless you plan on reading the comics through, then I spoiled that. But the series it cannot go that way. One, because last season they proved that Homelander, Anthony Starr's character, can see through the mask, where in the comics he can't. He can't see his face. And so the guy always wears the mask, so he doesn't know who he is. And in the comics, Stan Edgar, who's like the main guy who runs Vought, creates a clone of him and then hides him in the completely black costume. And the whole, his whole purpose is to be like this.
So Black Noir?
Is like this push in case of emergency button, in case Homelander ever goes off the edge and Stan Edgar can't control him anymore. He would basically just release the clone on him because it'd be the only thing strong enough to kill him.
So Black Noir is the clone.
Correct. And in the comics, he goes crazy because his whole purpose in life is to kill Homelander. He is designed for it. That's what he's been trained to do, is when shit pops off, he kills Homelander. But Homelander never goes crazy. Homelander, in the comics, is trying to do the right thing. For the most part. He makes a lot of mistakes, and they do leave a lot of carnage. But ultimately, the Seven weren't out to destroy the world. They were trying to do some good, and just really sucked at it, right? What ended up happening is Black Noir, because he's can't fulfill his purpose, goes crazy and starts to pretend to be Homelander. So starts sending him pictures and videos and leaking these things of him, his clone, looking exactly like him, doing these horrific things to people. And Homelander basically thinks he's blacking out, he's going crazy, he's going psychotic, and that's why he starts falling off the deep end, is because in the comics, Black Noir is fucking with him and makes him go crazy, because then he can fulfill his purpose.
See, in the series, I thought Black Noir was just this, a good person.
Oh no. He has never been, not in the comics anyway.
I mean, the series, I looked at Black Noir, like, he actually seems to care.
So the character, so obviously completely different backstory, completely different character in the actual series. It's a young black superhero who has to wear the mask because black people aren't accepted as big name superheroes yet, right? Where in the comic it's completely different. Completely different. So technically Black Noir in the comics is the first black superhero in the 7, but A-Train becomes the first publicly seen black person in the 7 because of not being accepted back then.
Yeah, playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Black Noir is like one of the coveted skins because he is so easily hidden in the dark, creepy places in the corners.
Yeah.
So but they just released like A-Train yesterday.
He's blue and white. He's gonna stand out like crazy.
Yeah, but they released him yesterday because I've got the Homelander skin. I got it just so that I could get the laser eye execution.
That's cool.
That's why I got that. And, you know, I run the bunny EOD tech. So the bunny doing that is hilarious.
That is cool. I haven't played a first person shooter in probably since Kaden was born. So 9 years, almost 10 years.
But A-Train came out yesterday, and the A-Train execution's really cool. Pretty much he runs up to a person, grabs his head, and just runs around in circles, so the head just twists till it comes off.
They should have took the one that he gave to Homeboy in the actual series. That was an awesome like fatality. When he gets even for the guy who hurts his brother. Do you remember that scene?
You gotta be more specific.
So in the episode of Hero Gasm, right after the house explodes and Homelander shows up, there's a scene right after that where A-Train runs out of the house, grabs the dude who paralyzed his brother, smashes him on the ground, grabs him by his foot, and then runs for like 6 miles, just dragging him.
That would be cool. Yes, I do remember that now. When I think of A-Train, I think of when he was like high and just ran through people.
Oh, well, hence the pilot. Yeah. That's what got me hooked when that happened. I'm like, this isn't going to be a regular superhero movie.
What the hell just happened?
Yeah, I didn't, because that was my first introduction to the boys was the pilot. And then I went back and started like digitally grabbing the comics and like figuring things out and putting all the pieces together because I thought it was such a cool world. I'm like, wow, this is pretty complex. And then the comics are just like a whole different level of brutality and just sickness, though.
It's not a very good rabbit hole to go down sometimes. It makes me think of like the other actors who embody their characters too much. Oh, yeah. Method actors. Like they live the part while they are the part. Yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis is very famous for that. Very famous for that. I should probably know who that is, but I don't. Gangs of New York? Which one? The Butcher? The Butcher. Okay. That's Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. See, I know the characters' names or what they're called. That was probably, like, in my opinion, one of the like best performances of his career. Oh, the boys, super excited for it. A lot of really cool things happening. A lot of things that happen in the comics are going to be starting to happen in this season that are going to be completely different than in the comics because of the way things are structured. But they did bring like some like Victoria Newman, the head popper. Okay, yeah. She in the comics, she's like a male character who becomes president. So like there's a lot of correlation that's happening. They just changed it enough that it's interesting. I'm excited to see it. Cool. I like that they keep adding more characters from Supernatural, or actors, I should say. Not characters, but actors from Supernatural. Yeah. That was a great show too. But we're not going to dive into that one right now because we'll go deep into another one. But I want to hear from you. What is new in the world of AI? You're deep down that rabbit hole for almost a year now, and there's always something evolving and new. It's over a year. Damn. Over a year. You know, me and timelines, right? Yeah. What's popping? What's new? What are you excited about? It's about 15 months now into AI world. Damn. Yeah. How much, like, so just really quick, in the 15 months that you've been, studying it and playing with it and learning it, how fast has that evolved? Like, how rapidly? Just in like that 15-month period of time. It feels like years. Like it's jumping ahead light years? No, like it literally feels years have gone by already with the advancements. I mean, okay, Rabbit AI, company out of California, I think San Diego, something like that. But they developed this little Tamagotchi type thing, which is essentially a touchscreen version of like an Alexa on steroids or a Google Home on steroids, where it's lambs, large action models. So what that means is instead of ChatGPT and other large language modules, I think it is, LLMs, but instead of just putting your inputs in and spitting something out, you can now have this new tool, the LAM, go ahead and perform these tasks for you. So you can just set up the communications. Think of like an AI version of, what's that integration app that we need to use?
You talking about Zapier?
Zapier, yes. Think of like Zapier, except AI controlled, and you just tell it what you want and it just does it. That's what this is.
That's very cool.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's very cool. So it's not only pulling up information, helping you like as an assistant in the facts of like a researcher. It's actually taking that and implementing it for you based on what you're telling it.
Yes, it's utilizing the tools for you.
Very cool.
Based on your commands. So you give it the input that you want, and it goes and uses the tools available to it, like ChatGPT or another large language model, that it can get all the input that it needs or the research it needs, browse the web, make purchases for you. Of course, you have to confirm these purchases. They were smart enough to take care of that. But you can tell it, hey, just order me an Uber from here to here during this time period. It'll do it. You have to hit OK, confirm, and then it does it. Search for the cheapest flight from here to here on this day with whatever parameters you want. And it's going to go and find you the cheapest version, and you just go, OK.
So
it's an assistant.
Right. So based on the prompts you give it, it would be, so in your last example.
Verbal.
So based on the verbal prompt that you give it, so in your last example, it will scour the internet and find you lowest rates in the day you're looking for and send it to you and say, hey, do you really want this? And you'd be like, yes, I do. And then charge your card.
Based on my understanding, yes.
Heck yeah. That's cool.
I can't wait.
Yeah. I already love that Amazon does that for like done. But now we're going to have it in the palm of our hand. Hey, order me more gecko, whatever diet, and just orders it.
But the way Amazon does it is a bit different. Like if you were searching on Amazon for stuff, you have to specifically include cheapest one, how quick you want it, that type of thing. This will just go ahead and do that for you, so you don't have to spend your time doing all the research around it or finding the perfect one based on the dates you want it. Like we all know you pay an extra convenience for faster, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with on Amazon. You want it faster? Cool. You're going to pay a couple bucks more. You don't care as much about that. You can get it cheaper. But this is going to find, based on your parameters, going to find the fastest and cheapest based on your needs.
That's cool.
And you don't have to spend all the extra time. So it's going to end up saving people time, but hopefully people will eventually learn to utilize that a little better.
Yeah. And so is this technology available to the masses? Like how is this being distributed?
So right now, that model is being utilized by this cool new little gadget. It is a piece of software that you can utilize and add to a phone or something like that if you want to pay for that. But they have this little device that you can use, throw a SIM card in, just like from your cell phone, and just have it do everything for you. And no subscription price or anything. You just pay your data service or whatever it is, just like your smartwatch. Because smartwatches, some of them need the chip so that you can utilize the internet and that type of stuff when you're not near your phone. So think of that for this device.
Interesting.
Eventually, they're going to want to replace the cell phone with that. However, the issue I see coming, which was brought up by somebody else, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. But he brought up a good point. People aren't going to want more than one device in their pocket.
No. No. We already have one that does everything. We don't want two.
Yeah. But that could be the downfall for that, depending on how you use it. I think it's going to teach us to use it in a different way.
I think also, sorry to interrupt, but I had a thought. You can complete yours if I interrupted.
No, it's gone.
That happens to me too. I apologize. I was just thinking though, like if the two device thing is the issue, then just sell the software to Android, sell the software to Apple, and have them install it into the devices we already use.
Their argument with this device is you need too many apps to do the things that you need to. The whole idea with this is they want to eventually erase the cell phone from it, which means you're not going to have your cell phone to play games type thing. It's to be more productive with your time and without wasting it scrolling through stuff and that kind of thing.
That's definitely a major thing.
That's who they're targeting with this device. So you can make the phone calls, you can do everything like that. You can do your messages, have it send it on, do posts, all those kind of things. Just connect to the software. And it's not this device is just a middleman, but it's not going to remember anything. So it's not going to remember any of the data that you give out, so it's not stored anywhere for safety reasons. And
won't that affect efficiency? Because data caching helps with further use, right? So like it makes the user experience more fluid and more streamlined and personal because of the data it's caching.
The apps do that already. This just acts as a middleman.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just curious because that's how a lot of apps create a user experience. Is the data your inputs create a different experience.
So it talks to these other devices, but the reason they want to make sure that was brought up is privacy concerns.
Oh yeah.
If you are speaking or doing all these things, it's just going to perform the task almost like someone with Alzheimer's. So it's going to forget everything.
It's a goldfish.
Yeah, goldfish is better.
It's a goldfish.
Or 50 First Dates.
Or yeah. Well, she was like a goldfish. Every day she would reset.
Yes. It's going to utilize all those different cool things. Like it's still going to know to perform the tasks that you want it to. And it's going to utilize the memory from the different apps that you already use because you're connected them to the apps with this. This is just the communication relay that performs tasks.
So it's a virtual assistant.
Yes.
But it's like what's a monthly membership compared to like?
There is none.
So how does this company make money?
So what the software piece of it is you can use on other devices that you have to pay for to use that. But because you're using it on their device,
you just pay for the device.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. So it's like Apple being like, if you use our stuff, well, they don't really give you a discount. They make you pay just as much. Not a good example.
No, they make you pay more.
Not a good example. But yeah, okay. I get it. Nice.
And AI for cell phones. That's the big thing with Samsung this year, which is really cool too. I watched a bit of the keynote for the release of it, and you're going to be able to take your videos that you just normal record videos, and it's going to use AI where you can turn to slow-mo wherever you want. So you don't need to spend the extra thousands for that special slow-mo camera. The AI will be able to fill in the gaps between the frames to make it slow-mo.
Yeah, I love it. It's just the tip of the iceberg too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And because the AI stabilization in the new camera, they're talking that you can do galaxy watching now. Because the lenses are good enough and the cameras are good enough. It's just the stabilization issue. If I've taken pictures of the moon, I can zoom in on the moon, see pretty good detail. You can see craters and stuff just from my cell phone now. But it's hard keeping it stable enough while you're pointing in one place. But with this, you're going to be able to do galaxy watching, which is so freaking cool.
That is cool. Yeah, it's one of the things I loved. You know, obviously here in where we live in Arizona, there's a lot of natural, not natural, but light pollution, which ruins the ability to see the night sky. But when I was traveling to Texas quite a bit, we would be down by the lake or just outside, and it's, you know, there's no light pollution out there in the ranch. And so we would look up and you just see all these stars. And I know Greg and a couple of people had these apps on their phones where they pull it up and they'd be like, oh shit, that's Venus and that's this. And it's like really cool to see. But to be able to see, like, and obviously the app like creates it in like a digital form. It's not the real thing. But to be able to like look up and see it in real time in your camera, that's going to be cool.
Google Star Maps is probably what they were using.
Yeah, probably. I remember when Starlink first came out, how many people were like, there are UFOs in the sky. First time I saw it, I didn't know what I was seeing. I was like, why are these string of lights just moving across this? Like, what's going on? It's Starlink. Yeah.
Those were going viral. People thought they were like UFOs or something.
Yeah.
But the sky map is pretty cool.
Oof. Yeah, that's...
Can point down and see what's on the other side of the earth.
Yeah.
That's what they were using, right?
Something similar, yeah, I would think. It would also, like, if you highlight, if you like went over like a certain constellation, they would like connect them and highlight it out so that you would know what you're looking at.
Very cool.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty fascinating, for sure. So, switch gears, move out of technology. So I'd like to touch on something back in the entertainment world, because here in the last couple of years, with the rise of Venom, Deadpool, many others, there's been like this surge. Obviously superheroes and that whole world has been big for decades now. But in the last, I would say, half a decade, maybe less, maybe even less, 3 years, you're better with timelines than me, it's really shifted to more of an anti-hero, like celebrating the anti-hero. Deadpool is one of the most celebrated Marvel characters of all time, and he's not necessarily a hero, right? Like he's very selfish, he's very narcissistic and driven by his own means rather than the better of everybody else. And so let's talk a little bit about like the society and our love for anti-heroes.
I got my first Deadpool comic when I was probably about 11 years old. I remember I went to a comic book store with my mom after a doctor's appointment because I was sick. There was a comic book store right next to a pediatrician. And so went in there and I wanted a new comic book. And I was like, oh, what's Deadpool? The comic guy's like, you probably shouldn't be reading that. And my mom's like, oh, it's fine. He watches rated R movies. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So I ended up getting Deadpool and just started collecting them when I was younger. Didn't stick with it very long. As I got into high school,
Yeah.
it was frowned upon to be that nerdy type, right? So kind of separated myself from that for quite a bit. But I still loved comic books and stuff. I didn't read them though. I collected them.
Interesting. What did you do with them? Just stack them? Put them on display?
Well, didn't put them on display. I kept them safe.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know.
Like a little squirrel just nestling your little collection away?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't read a single comic. I collected them
So how did you know which ones to collect?
just based on the art.
So you were collecting art, not necessarily stories. You were in it for the art.
Yes.
Interesting. The very first couple of comic books I ever purchased as a young kid were based on the cover art itself. I had no idea what they were, no idea if they were good or not. One was called Primal, and it had like this predator-looking guy on the front. And I was just like, I want to read that. It wasn't a very good comic, but the art was like what drew me in. And then my cousin turned me on to X-Men, and I went down that road from there. But yeah, comic books very early. But Deadpool, that's interesting because I really didn't even like discover deep into who Deadpool was until my brother-in-law, Alan, who was like obsessed with him, started really telling me about him and like diving into his story and like how inaccurate X-Men Origins, Wolverine Origins was, and like how upset he was about that. And like I was like, oh shit, I didn't know.
Yeah, the reason I chose Deadpool though was at the comic book store. I had no problem flipping through it, but when they were home, no. But at the comic book store, he was the one with all the swear words.
Yeah.
That's why I got it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can understand his reasoning for the origins, because he's known for his mouth. Seriously. Like, he has the best witty comebacks and everything. And he's a smartass. That's why I got into that. But what I really think why people are more drawn to them now, they're more relatable.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
So we had all these role models for superheroes like Superman. Not as many flaws. Like, he's got flaws, but he's goody two-shoes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's goody two-shoes. That's not as relatable to most people. And so I think, just like in marketing, it feels inauthentic.
Yeah.
And that's why people relate to the anti-hero more, is because they're more relatable to who we are as people.
Yeah. I think it's also like much in the vein of what you're talking about is like also the reason why The Boys blew up, and like I like that universe, and Invincible and many other comics that have come that are like superheroes but not necessarily portrayed in like these strict moral codes. And I think that's honestly, when you study DC and their comic book origins, that's why they were not as successful as when Marvel launched, is because DC's characters were flawless. They were heroes. They were, strong. They were never going to lose. You never had to worry about that. But then Marvel started launching out Spider-Man and these heroes that had real world problems and were relatable and didn't always tried to do the right thing, but didn't always work. And like, it just, all these things were happening. And like, that's why Stan Lee says Spider-Man is his favorite of all time, is because he was the most relatable, right? He's just a kid trying to go through his life and gets these superpowers and has to figure out what to do with them. And tries to do the right thing, but it doesn't always turn out good. Like, people in his life are dying. He's like, what the hell? I'm trying to do it, man. And yeah, I get it. That's much more relatable. And then being the opposite end of the spectrum, where not everybody has a wholesome upbringing like an Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Not everyone has, the structure in life like a Captain America or Iron Man or anything like that. So it's cool that people who maybe come from a more rough upbringing or didn't have all the resources and assets to them, to see somebody out there who is flawed and much more relatable to them succeed somewhere in a really cool way. Which brings me to like the most recent one that just came out, which is Echo, right? Which is, a portrayal of a deaf person who is discovering superpowers at a very young age as well, from her ancestral line, not being human and all these different things. But it's also another portrayal of anti-hero, right? Because she was raised by one of the biggest villains in Marvel. So talk a little about that. What do you think is so relatable about Echo and today's society?
I think what's relatable about her is she was brought up, taught, indoctrinated to be a certain way. And then as her reality shifts of waking up to, hey, this is not how it should be. This is just what I was taught. And so she's learning the lessons to see the world through her own lens, which I think all of us do. I mentioned it earlier about fathers being flawed, right?
Yeah.
But when we're young, we see them as like the role model. At least I did. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I saw my dad as always having the right answer. He did a great job of raising me, I believe, and with the morals that I have. Not always PC, but not being PC doesn't mean that you're a bad person or anything like that. And it's not like I'm saying he was racist or anything like that. He was blunt. And he'll call you out for whatever, right? But he was always a smartass. I told you when I was younger that he told me the best way to deal with road rage people was to just go, "Hi, sweetie," and blow him a kiss. Because he used that as a lesson to teach me that when people get angry, they want other people to be angry. So if they get you angry, they win. So he's like, don't fall for that. Just blow them a kiss, go the extra mile, throw a little lisp on, limp your wrist a little bit, and wave. And it's just going to piss them off. But it's not, it's their own shit that they're dealing with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what I meant by PC.
Yeah, and I think that's a comical, being, complete break of character satire to be like, hey,
yeah,
with somebody and turn it into a joke is actually a whimsical, whimsical is kind of childish, but a funny way of teaching a really important life lesson. When someone comes at you with a level of aggression, you can either give your control to them by also engaging with them, or you can keep your control by choosing not to. It's really cool life lesson. Apparently one of our stickies wants to come down and join us.
Yeah, the sticky note fell off the wall.
Yeah, man. So I just think, and I think you nailed it perfectly. We can move on to the next segment. It's just that the birth of the anti-hero, not the birth of it, but the sensation around it with society, I think is just because it's way more relatable. And I would agree with that. Yeah.
What's your take on it? You didn't really share much of yours.
Yeah, so...
I just asked me.
Yeah. I mean, I have not finished it, to be completely blunt. And what I have observed so far has been... Coming from a purely cinematic standpoint, like, I think it's good. However, right now where I'm at in the story, I feel like I haven't learned anything really about her, right? I haven't learned much about not her backstory. I know her backstory, but like her actual interaction with her tribe, her family, her people. A lot of it was really heavily focused on her relationship with Fisk. And I already know that from watching Hawkeye. As far as like the show itself, not the anti-hero aspect, but the show itself, I feel like they dropped the ball a little bit.
I see it a little differently. I see it as she doesn't even know these things yet. So we're watching her learn and discover her own belief system, her own way of doing things as she's learning them. Yeah. That's how I view it.
Okay.
I don't know anything about the comics. Like I said, didn't read the comics. I saved them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going based off that. And when it comes to Marvel stuff, I don't always have to like the show to enjoy it. I do it to keep up with the storyline because they do cross-show information all the time. Yeah. So that's why I keep up with them. Even if I'm not like fully engaged in the show, I'll still watch it just so I can keep up to date. Yeah.
I think as far as an anti-hero though, she's a great portrayal of that. Someone who, like you mentioned, was indoctrinated, lied to, taught one thing, one way of life for a very young age, and believed that was everything there was, that's the right way to do these things, and then figured out it wasn't, and went on this quest to, like, I wouldn't say redemption, but like to right that wrong with herself. And I think that part is relatable and awesome. And I love the fact that, there's so many different elements of her culture and of the deaf community being put into it that really, like, I know nothing about, so I'm learning, which is really cool, because, like, how else am I going to figure out these things and be more culturally diverse if I don't have the ability to watch them through things that I'm already watching, right? So I think that's really cool that it's in there. But again, as far as like the story and what's going on, I'm just not the biggest fan yet.
It is a little different. I do like how they make everything go quiet when they're signing.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's cool.
They did it, like I said, cinematically, it's a good show. I think they did a good job with it that way. And they usually do, right? It's a pretty good budget on them. But I just feel like it's a repeat of things I already know right now.
I feel they had to catch people up in case they didn't watch Hawkeye.
Well, they need to be more like you and watch everything.
Yes, Marvel would love that.
So I want to switch. I want to switch to a show that I just recently finished, and I think it'd be really relevant because, we're both military, prior military. The show I just finished is about a military unit, or a former military unit that stays very tightly knit like a family, and then also the kaiju of a man that is Jack Reacher himself. Let's talk a little bit about one of our shows that we like, and I won't ruin the ending for you. I know you're still about 2 episodes from finishing this season, waiting on Barbara to finish it. Where it stands right now, you know, let's introduce, if you guys don't know who Jack Reacher is, like who this character is, let's introduce him to him a little bit. Like, what's his backstory, and you know, why is he such a iconic character?
To me, he's an iconic character because he's got a very strong moral code, and his moral code trumps literally everything else. Like, screw society, his moral code is above everything. And that's one of the things that I do enjoy about him. He also has the size to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent casting with Alan Richardson, or I'm saying his last name wrong, but he's a behemoth of a man, right?
Way better than Tom Cruise.
Yeah, you know.
For the part.
Agreed. Yeah, Tom Cruise has got the roles that he absolutely crushes, and that wasn't one of them. So I'm glad they recast it. The cast that they did pick for the series is phenomenal. And I do agree, the moral code of it all, I also love the brotherhood, right? Like being military, not having my unit, many of them not being alive anymore. I love that, you know, they stayed so close and had each other's backs, even decades after being out. One phone call, right? And then of those that were alive and they could get a hold of, we're there within, you know, a day. And I thought that was really cool. And then also just the fact that, like, he will follow that moral code. He will stay true to that no matter what happens. And then again, the crazy fight scenes and badass shit that they, you know, go through to see that through, really, really cool.
And he's an anti-hero as well.
I wouldn't say that. In Marvel?
Oh, Batman.
Recast him as Batman?
Yes, that's what they want to do, is recast him as Batman.
That'd be so hard to do though, because he's such a predominant DC figure.
So they want him as Batman because Batman's very much the same. Like, they're saying that Jack Reacher is Batman.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about Henry Cavill for some reason.
No.
And I was like, they can't take Superman and make him Batman. That's way too confusing.
No, they want Alan Richardson, or whatever his name is, to be Batman.
He's played a Marvel character before. He played Hawk in Titans, which is Robin becomes, I can't think of it right now. Nightwing. So Robin becomes Nightwing and starts his own crew. And Hawk and Dove are part of that crew, and he's Hawk. He plays Hawk.
But you could see him as Batman, couldn't you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He would be a great Batman.
I agree. I'm not a big fan of Ben Affleck. I wasn't a big fan of the Batman either. I think Christian Bale, honestly, that series, the Christopher Nolan trilogy, I think that was one of my favorite portrayals of that universe ever.
After they went down past the second episode, or second movie series for that trilogy, I was like, no, I didn't like the last one.
Oh, you didn't like Bane?
I liked the Bane character. I didn't like the way the story went. I wasn't thrilled about that.
Okay.
Like, I still appreciate the storytelling around it, and obviously anything with Morgan Freeman I will watch.
He's good.
I don't care. He is a national freaking treasure.
He is.
And he's from Memphis.
How cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he went to Memphis and would keep donating and stuff like that for underprivileged schools and stuff like that. So really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But Morgan Freeman I'll watch. Even lately his stuff hasn't been very good. He's getting up there in years, having a lot of B type movies. A lot of the big names from the 90s are all doing B movies.
Yeah. I think he's at that age now where he can get paid a pretty penny just a cameo. Like just to show up and say like one line. He's an icon, right?
And with AI, we will never lose Morgan Freeman's voice again.
Dude, all right. Have you watched the George Carlin special?
I think I know what you're talking about.
George Carlin's one of my favorite comics of all time, right? Growing up, he was, like, I would stay up late just to watch his like, HBO specials. Like, my dad would let me, we would stay up, we would watch them, it was great. One of the very first gifts that a girlfriend got me when I was very young was like the DVD, no, not the DVD, but the VHS of George Carlin, and loved the guy. And so now when I started listening to this thing on AI, I was just like, holy shit, there is no difference. The deepfake special that they made, 30 minutes of his new content, basically George Carlin's voice, his delivery, his cadence, everything, talking about shit that happened like in the last year. Clearly, he's dead. You cannot do that. And so, but so flawless. And it's just like, that's just the AI getting started, right? Like they're not even perfected these things yet.
Nope.
And so like, I was just like blown away. A full 30 minutes of a special, like he was on stage again, current events, just like it was a dude, blown away.
Have you heard the Eminem and Tupac collab?
No.
Dude, it's wild.
It's crazy what they can do. You know, which is also quite scary, because
What is real?
how do we know what to trust and what is real? It's going to become difficult.
So, this is another thing that has touched a lot of marketing stuff, right? Everything is becoming too good. So, do you know what is getting more attention in social media now?
The shit that's not perfect, the stuff that doesn't look cookie cutter or isn't as high, like isn't perfect.
Alex Hormozi's already doing this now. A bunch of other big influencers and names are doing this. And what it is exactly how you started. Your camera in the car, just behind the scenes talking, giving advice, doing that kind of thing.
I might have a few of those videos, man.
Yeah,
I used to.
favorite place, right?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
While you're driving.
dude, so many ideas come to me behind the wheel. When I'm walking, right, because it's stimulating and giving you ideas, or when I'm driving around. And, you know, there's been many, many times where I'm dropping the kids off at school in the morning, or I'm driving, running some errands, you know, to go pick up my medicines, like a 30-minute drive, one way, hour round trip. So I usually do an audiobook or stuff, but ideas pop in my mind, and I'll just throw my freaking phone up and start recording. So I have like tons of just thoughts from the car, you know what I'm saying?
I'm looking for this one dude. He's gotten quite a good name for himself also. Can't seem to find him. But he does a lot of fitness stuff, like big freaking kid, like completely jacked. And he just talks about what gives him good pumps and all the tricks that he uses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he's become like a legend just because of his social media content. And all he's doing now is just doing the same thing. He's driving the car from the gym to the gym, stuff like that. And that's where he's giving his advice and talking. And those are getting the most views because they're raw. And people are liking the raw content more than the watered down, edited Cliff Notes versions that people are doing.
Yeah. It's more authentic.
Yeah. That's why Gary Vee, Alex Hormozi's doing it. They're all doing that behind the scenes style stuff because it's more relatable.
100%.
And that's why the whole checkmark thing came out too. You know that, right? Why everyone could get those verified account things so easy now instead of reaching a certain level.
Yeah, but it's pay to play. So it doesn't mean anything.
It does.
To who?
It means that you're a real person, not AI.
So I have to pay Facebook to let everybody know that I'm a real person.
Yes. Because it has to be tied to your bank account. It has to be tied to a specific bank account. And only one account can be tied to that bank account. So it proves you're a real human being versus a digitally created one. That's why Facebook and Meta did all that stuff. The moment AI, they saw the power of AI. It wasn't because you had 10K followers or anything like that. Because now that doesn't matter. There are guys in third world countries becoming millionaires because they're creating AI women and followings and selling even adult content on OnlyFans. And it's indistinguishable from the real thing.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few articles and different posts about these, specifically on Instagram, fake Instagram models that are being created by these rooms full of dudes, right? And they're creating these accounts that are entirely AI women, AI all this, and then they're promoting them, making a lot of money. And it's just a bunch of dudes in a room somewhere. That girl does not actually exist.
Nope.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. But the whole thing, they perform the same things that you do as a regular marketer. They develop the perfect character around their customer avatar.
Yeah. And now with AI, it's so easy to do. It's crazy. I remember when we used to have to walk people through hours and hours of customer avatar questions and all that. And now, because we have prompts and things that we can do, we can pull it up way faster than ever. Super cool though, but you gotta know what to put in. So that helps too. AI can't do anything if you don't know what to tell it to do. But let's close out this segment and let's just like circle back to Reacher. And, you know, we'll agree to disagree, anti-hero, hero style, but his pureness and like pure pursuit of justice, right? That moral code of his and the heroism that comes with that. And then also the morality behind it. Is there a correlation, or even do we see that in today's society? The way that Reacher operates, is that a mirror of our society today?
The end justifies the means. That's always been a common thread in history. And I see that as the first step to going down a really dark path.
Oh, yeah.
And so I feel like Reacher is this constant reminder of always being on the threshold of, if he makes one small shift, he could be the worst villain in the world.
Yeah. I love that the ends justifies the means mentality. That I love that you reflected on it. Not that I love that mentality, because it's absolutely an absolute mirror of what's been happening in every aspect of life recently and around us, right? Is that, well, we're just gonna, and I don't want to get political and I don't want to go down that road, but, you know, take away rights, isolate, remove the ability to do business, do all these different things, because it's the end justifies the means. But at the same time, the means is destroying the end, right? And I get it. It's a very delicate balance, like you said. One false move and you're right down the rabbit hole. And unfortunately, what I've seen is that a lot of wrong moves have been made, and we're really starting to see the descent of the rabbit hole.
I agree. I'm not going to go down that road.
Yeah, we're not going to get political. That's not what we do. Liam and I have a very strong belief that the world is already too damn divided, and that we really just need to come together. And so we're not going to promote or what's the word I'm looking for? Spread any more division. So I want to talk a little bit about something that we really focus very heavily on, especially when we launched OVF and helps, you know, so many vets get their lives back together. And that's your identity, your purpose, right? And I think, you know, going back to Echo earlier, you know, she's on that journey right now of finding purpose and learning who her true identity is, because she's been one thing for so long and then realized that she's not anymore, right? I'd like to dive into that a little bit. Anything pop into your mind, or any questions pop into your mind when it comes to, you know, Echo and identity and how that's relevant in today's society, and even in what we do as an occupation?
I have no idea.
No? So I think that's...
I need a better question that was extremely vague.
My goal was to leave it open-ended enough so that if you didn't want to answer a question, you could ask one back. I just think it's really cool, especially for military people, to, again, mirroring Echo's story, but not identical. We're indoctrinated in. We are brainwashed, for lack of a better word, into a very specific mindset and a very specific way of life. Excuse me, that's probably really loud in that mic. And then the minute that, you know, we're no longer in there anymore, life is shifted, we lose our identity and lose kind of the purpose. And I feel like that's been the arc of what I've seen in Echo right now too. It's been, you know, it's been one way for so long, structured, easy, something you know to follow. It's the way. And then this event happens for military members that's getting out, or for her, you know, it's realizing that the man who's been raising her whole life is actually the man who, and so she's on this journey of identity and learning who she is. And she's actually using quite a bit of like the tools that we use to help others do that, which is like clarity. Like, who are you? Well, take a second, stop, focus on just you for a minute. right? All the other things are going to fall together as soon as you realize who you are and what you're called to do. Like, and that really comes from understanding your values, right? Like, so many people out there in the world, especially the vets that we've worked with, they don't know what that calling is. They don't know what it is because they've never had the opportunity to sit down and take a look at what do I value, what do I want.
Another thing that I'm not sure if you've gotten there yet, but another area of where they show that is in a relationship with her brother, and when she gets reintroduced to her sister. Her sister's like, are you really wanting to be this person right now? Like, her sister is her moral compass.
Wow.
And the separation of them, I think, was pivotal with the whole arc with Fisk, because Fisk was the new moral compass the moment that her sister was gone and separated from her. But once she gets reintroduced to her sister, that's when her moral compass starts to come back.
Yeah. So that's interesting, because it was like, it's not necessarily that she was discovering a way of life. She's rediscovering who she was. Yeah.
She's rediscovering, but it also lends to the whole you're the sum of the people you hang out with type thing.
100%.
Which is a good lesson.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think, you know, I'm excited to finish it and see where it goes, just so that I've completed that arc. Can't open a loop and not close it. And just kind of see where it goes. I'm interested in some of the backstory that's going on too, to kind of pull it away from the topic. But, you know, the fact that they're not necessarily from Earth, and there's like these different cosmic powers, I can call them, that are coming into play now, that are pretty cool. That, you know, there's only a few other characters in the realm in Marvel that have that. So it's pretty cool to see.
But native mythology.
Did you see What If? Have you watched it?
I've watched What If, but
season 2?
I've not finished all of them.
Because there's a entire episode dedicated to I forget her exact name now, but she's a native who gets cosmic powers and then basically saves her tribe.
I wonder if that ties into Echo.
It does, directly. I don't know if she's a direct descendant, or if there's definitely a connection though. I remember either hearing or reading about it online. All right, guys. Well, that's it today from the G-Spot. So glad you guys finally found it, and cannot wait to share with you the answer to the riddle next week on our next video. We'll see you guys there. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace.